While on the stand, singer Dawn Richard offering dramatic and at times tense testimony about the years she spent working for Combs. Richard describing an incident in 2009 when she allegedly saw Diddy assault his then-girlfriend Cassie, testifying the next day she received a call from Diddy with a warning. Richard testifying, quote, "He said you could go missing, that we could die," going on to say, "I was shocked, but also scared."
Nobody expected Dawn Richard to start her testimony with a threat she says came straight from the mogul's mouth. "Where I'm from, people go missing." The words landed like a hammer in the hushed courtroom, sending a ripple through reporters and jurors alike. In a single sentence, she framed the power dynamic that ruled Bad Boy's empire. An empire prosecutors now describe as a shadowy enterprise of cash, cameras, and coerced silence. But the warning was only the first fracture. Over the next days, agents rolled in pallets of evidence from Diddy's Star Island mansion, baby oil drums, lingerie racks, and AR-15 parts scraped clean of serial numbers. While witnesses painted a picture of freak-off parties choreographed with the precision of a music video and the menace of organized crime. Still think this is just a rich people drama? Wait till you hear how a teenaged Usher, a terrified Cassie, and an exotic dancer nicknamed the Punisher find themselves woven into the same Black Book timeline.
Richard was asked about that incident. It was in West Hollywood, California. There was a restaurant, a dinner with a lot of powerful people in 2010. And at that dinner, Richard says Diddy allegedly punched Cassie in the stomach. She said, quote, "We were having a private conversation, and when we're all sitting, eating at the tables together, when I say we, I mean some Bad Boys, some of our other label, and some celebrities were in the room, and they were secretly arguing, and he punched her in the stomach. Sean Combs punched her in the stomach." The prosecution then asks, quote, "Who, if any of Mr. Combs' employees were present?" And Richard says Harv Pierre, Capricorn Clark, Mia, D-Rock, Bonds, myself, and Kalina Harper.
Dawn's account begins in 2010, inside a West Hollywood restaurant where Cassie tries to keep an argument from boiling over. According to Dawn, the blow landed fast. A punch that snapped Cassie forward and left her clutching her midsection, while celebrities at nearby tables fixed their eyes on anything but the scene. Back in a private bathroom, Cassie's eye ballooned shut. Dawn says she threw on sunglasses to match Cassie's pair. A silent pact that screamed, "I see you, I'm with you." The entourage, D-Rock, Bonds, Capricorn Clark, Harvey Pierre, acted like audio engineers muting an unwanted track. No one stepped in, Dawn insisted. No one even whispered dissent. The silence squeezed the room until it felt explosive. Everyone heard the screams, yet the music never stopped. That's the note the section ends on, echoing through studios, group texts, and finally, the witness stand.
Usher was there, Jimmy Levine was there, Neo came through. There were a few others too. I don't recall those people, but those are the ones I remember talking to.
Usher, Neo, Interscope, Kingmaker, Jimmy Iovine. Dawn places them in the same orbit that night, each with a front row seat to Diddy's volatility. Usher's link runs deeper. As a teenager, he lived under Diddy's roof, absorbing a crash course in fame, fashion, and, prosecutors suggest, the darker rites of initiation. Rumors swirl that when Justin Bieber needed mentoring, Usher handed him off to Diddy, though no one on the record confirms just what that mentorship entailed. The defense calls this gossip. The prosecution calls it context. Proof that powerful men learned long ago you keep quiet if you want to stay golden. Cassie's former best friend, Carrie Morgan, underscores the point. She testifies she accepted $30,000 in hush money after Diddy allegedly hurled a wooden hanger at her neck. When she broke the NDA years later, the defense tried labeling her disloyal. Jurors saw a woman buying freedom with silence. If A-listers could look away, then what else have they watched and willed themselves to forget? Next up, what insiders call the freak-off kid.
When Usher got on Shay Shay, and I don't mean to mention other people's platforms, but he got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything. You know what I'm saying? About the business, right? I know, and people know, that was around in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I'll let Usher explain that to y'all.
Homeland Security photos light up the projector. Sex swings bolted to marble ceilings, duffel bags stuffed with Molly capsules, stamped with cartoon faces, baby oil gallon jugs stacked like stage props. Dawn recalls Plan B pills laid out like breath mints on glass tables. Former personal assistant David James testifies he had to stock hotel suites with skincare products, Jordan tracksuits, and Obama face ecstasy before Diddy arrived. Ex-assistant Philip Pines, suing separately, says baby oil was reordered by the case. "You could ice skate on those hardwoods," he quipped under oath. Then comes Sherry Hayes, stage name The Punisher, whose testimony reads like underground erotica. He says Diddy watched masked, cash fluttering from his hand like confetti, directing positions while Cassie complied. Hayes counted a dozen such sessions. Even the drugs couldn't drown out the metallic click everyone heard next. Dawn swears she saw a pistol tucked at Diddy's spine more than once. Bodyguards, D-Rock, and Bonds flanked him, also armed. Homeland Security agent Gerard Gannon testifies that Star Island agents recovered AR-15 parts with scratched-off serials. "Built for full auto if you know what you're doing," he told jurors. Cassie's emails revealed Diddy snarling that people could blow up. Weeks later, Kid Cudi's convertible actually exploded in his driveway. Prosecutors plan to let Cudi tell that story himself. Threats didn't need volume. A gun in the room, a shattered taillight, a whispered, "go missing." All cues that said, "step out of line," and the next sound you hear might be the last. The bullets weren't all that vanished. Memories did too, until cross-examination yanked them back into daylight. The defense tries classic doubtcraft. Point to every slipped date, every changed adjective. Why, they ask, did Dawn wait years to mention, "people go missing"? Trauma fractures memory, she answers, but threats glue certain shards forever. They question money, waving Dawn's civil suit like a red flag. Yet filings show Diddy blasted Kalena Harper, Dawn's former Dirty Money bandmate, with 128 calls just before Harper posted an Instagram video dismissing Dawn's claims. Prosecutors say call logs plus notes seized from Diddy's cell suggest she was paid. Each time the defense pokes, the prosecution widens the lens. One inconsistent timeline can't erase 17 witnesses or the seized arsenal. Poking holes in a single story won't plug a decade-long leak. Cassie's 4-day testimony spanned 20 hours. She described hotel freak-offs, blackmail threats over explicit tapes, and a $20 million settlement she'd return if it meant his power ended. Personal assistant James recalled lie detector tests before staff could quit. Exotic dancer Hayes spoke of 7-inch heels Diddy bought for Cassie because pain lengthens the leg line. Overlay Dawn's studio stories from Danity Kane, plus Usher's recollection of initiation parties, and a mosaic of control emerges. Drugs for compliance, contracts for leverage, weapons for punctuation. Prosecutors stitch it together with a single statute, arraigo. Now the enterprise itself is on trial, and the next subpoena could light the fuse on everything still hidden. Legal analysts call the government's case R. Kelly on steroids. Diddy faces 1 racketeering count, 2 counts of trafficking by force or fraud, and transportation for prostitution, each carrying decades, some life. Inside labels, contract lawyers scour fine print. Managers coach clients on NDAs. If a mogul this big can face the music, who's safe? Fans drag old interviews for hindsight clues. PR teams brace for social media storms. Prosecutions thrive on momentum. Should Usher's testimony dovetail with Dawn's, expect a queue of mid-level execs suddenly ready to cooperate. Kid Cudi's arson story may break the emotional dam. Dawn Hughes, the trauma expert slated for Week 3, will translate chaos into clinical bite. Industry insiders whispers of panic, NDA purges underway at multiple labels. If kings fall when the crowd stops cheering, maybe it's time to turn the music off. Diddy once told Forbes his life's soundtrack was victory on repeat. Today the hook sounds warped. In court, he shakes his head while jurors pass around photos of baby oil slicks and rifle triggers, trophies of a reign built on rhythm and hush money. Dawn, Cassie, Usher, Hayes, Cudi, each voice different, yet together they remix the myth. Sex, silence, and fear laid bare beneath platinum hits. Justice rarely drops like a chart topper, but sometimes it's the only track worth cranking loud. So ask yourself as the closing arguments near, is it just one fallen mogul or the industry finally turning a long overdue page? Let me know below. Justice or hype? And keep your notifications on. The next witness could change everything.